Victor, correct?
Yes, I'm Victor, yes.
Awesome.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Victor. So before we get started, just because this is a long process, I wanted to ask you, would you like any water? Would you like a snack maybe?
No, I'm good. I had some coffee this morning, so.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, just in case, let me know. We have lots of snacks, lots of chips. If
Okay.
you want some more coffee, we
Great.
also have that as well.
Cool, thank you.
I also wanted to ask you, how was your trip down here? Were you able to find our office fairly easily?
Yeah, it's pretty easy. You know, it's right on the main street, so. That's
Awesome,
helpful.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's always good to hear.
Yeah.
So that's great. Before we get started, I kind of just wanted to go over some formalities that we have to address.
Okay.
One of them is confidentiality. And I just wanted to let you know if at any point you have any questions, you can definitely interrupt me, let me know, okay?
Okay.
So the first thing is confidentiality. Whenever you come in here, I always want to make sure that you feel safe. So just letting you know that anything that you share with me is totally private. I always keep all my notes locked in a cabinet. If I at some point leave this room gets locked as well. Everything is kept between me and you. The only time where that doesn't hold true is, let's say, I have some questions about your case. In that case, I would go to my supervisor. And the only reason why we would ever do that is just to make sure that, you know, you are getting the best services that you need, you know?
Okay.
Okay. In that case, when I do share information with my supervisor, or we do have like a supervision group time, we never share any of your personal information. So say your name, your age, or any stuff like that.
Okay.
That stuff is kept out, totally kept aside. We only look at what are the facts, what your needs are, and what other resources maybe I didn't come up with that we could also give to you.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about that?
No. Well, I guess I do have a question. Like, one of the things is, like, if someone calls up, says, you know, hey, is Victor, you know, going to your program? From what you're saying, you say you just tell them no, you can't let them know that. Is that right?
Yes, that
Okay.
is correct.
Okay.
So anytime that you are here, and unless we have your permission to let other people know, nobody will know that you're here.
Okay.
And that brings me to release of information, meaning that if at any point you do want us to let somebody know that you are here, or let's say that we do, you know, refer you to an agency that's outside of our agency here, then we would get a signed written consent of certain information that you do want to release to them.
Okay.
These written consents, we can always edit them. They always have, let's say you don't want to share too much information about what's going on, then you would just let us know that, and we would keep it to a bare minimum.
Okay.
And they also have, you know, expiration date. If after, let's say, 3 months, you're like, okay, I don't want X person to know, then, you know, whenever you say, like, I don't want them to know, then we would cancel any release of information to them.
Okay. Okay.
Does that sound good to you?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about that?
No, it makes sense.
Awesome. So now jumping on to the next thing,
Uh-huh.
I would also like to let you know that I am a mandated reporter, meaning that by law, if you let me know at any point that there is any abuse going on to a child, to an elderly person over the age of 65, or somebody who's disabled, I am required to let law enforcement know. The other 2 times where I would have to let them know is if you either plan on harming somebody or you plan on harming yourself. I know this seems kind of a roadblock to our communication, but I don't want that to stop you from cooperating with me, you know?
Okay.
It's just the law requires me to do so, and it's for the safety of not only yourself, but, you know, everybody else.
Right.
How does,
Yeah.
do you have any questions about that?
That makes sense, yeah. No questions on that.
Okay.
No questions.
Awesome. So just giving you a little backstory about what we're going to do here is, as I previously stated, I am your case manager, and my job primarily is going to be to help you reach whatever your needs are. So we're going to go through an assessment, which is just pretty much a fancy word for a lot of questions to see where you're at.
Okay.
And
Alright.
from there on, we're gonna look at what you think is a priority that needs to be fixed.
Okay.
And then together, we're gonna make a goal plan, and what that goal plan is, as I previously stated, is, just making sure that those needs are met. The goals will probably be baby steps, and we will, it'll be up to you, but I'll always be here if you ever need any help for any of that. Do you have any
Okay.
questions about that?
Well, yeah, does that mean like if I'm like, well, I need to find a job, will that be part of what you're talking about as far as the goals, like finding work?
So if that is what you consider a priority need, then yes, that
Okay.
is what
Okay.
we'll address.
Okay, okay, great.
Awesome. So the next thing I want to let you know is that, sometimes when we're here, maybe a couple of things will come up. You'll probably share some information with me, and sometimes we might need to refer out to a therapist. I know sometimes we get confused between, what a therapist and a case manager is, because there's a lot of talking and going back and forth. But the best way that I like to put it is that a therapist is more of a specialized doctor. Normally a case manager, you go see a regular doctor, you talk to them about their problems, and if it's
Right,
something that
right.
they can't deal with, then they send you out to someone who has the skill set to doing so.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
what a therapist would be. They
Okay.
usually deal with, mental diagnosis or trauma. And so if any of those things ever arise, I'll always make sure that you get those references, and that, we get those issues dealt with in a more adequate skill set.
Okay.
Do you have any questions about that, Victor?
Well, if I go, have to see like a therapist, like what you're saying, will I still be in this program?
Yeah,
Okay.
so the way it usually works is that we'll reference you out. We'll probably have a release of information with you, more than likely.
Right, okay.
That way, if there's anything going on, depending on what you want to release, we can say either it detailed, or if you just want to be let them know that I'm good, then they'll probably just send over, he's okay, he's doing well, he's progressing, and
Okay.
stuff like that. So,
Okay.
here, like I said, we deal with more general. We work on a variety of different things, and
Okay.
over there, they deal with more alongside of mental health care.
Okay.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, that makes
Awesome.
sense, yeah.
So lastly, before we get to our assessment, I want to talk to you about what the risks and benefits are. I think normally we like to tackle what the risks are, because it's what seems scariest to people. So one of the risks that we can have is that sometimes things start feeling like they're getting a lot worse before they start getting better. And I just want to assure you that although it may feel that way, you can always get over the hump. As we're going to be together, we're going to make assessments and plans. And if at any time you feel like the references that I'm sending you out to don't feel like a match to you, or you just feel like they're not helping you at all, I don't want you to get discouraged by that.
Okay.
I'd rather you come to me and have us talk things out. Let me know always if they're just not working out. We can
Okay.
always find somewhere else, and figure it out in that way.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's always in your hands. It's always up to you. Just let me know, because I'd rather you come to me before with something so we can find a solution, as opposed to losing you
Okay.
and having you not be happy with the services that you receive.
Okay, that sounds great.
Awesome.
Sounds really good.
So now that I let you know all of that, I'm going to head over to our assessment.
Oh, okay.
Primarily, I'd like to just know what brought you here today.
Oh, I'm living in my car, and I need to find a place to stay, because it's getting kind of cold now.
Definitely.
So, I'm getting unemployment. I used to work. I used to work for the Sacramento Bee, and I would like deliver newspapers, you know, early in the morning, you know, like deliver to different stores and stuff like that. And I did that, for, you know, for a while. Everything was good, and the B, you know, they're downsized, what they call downsizing. And so like they started laying people off. They're not, you know, putting out so many newspapers, and they laid me off. You know, so like I said, I'm getting unemployment. I was living in Midtown, you know, and they raised my rent. You know, rents are going like through the roof. Raised my rent, and with unemployment, you know, I couldn't afford to pay the rent. And so I moved in with a friend, and that didn't work out at all. It was like really bad. And so I had to move out, and I've been living in my car for like maybe 2 months or something like that. And like it says, you know, it's starting to get cold now, so I'm needing a place to stay. You know, I want to find a place to stay.
Okay. That's understandable. So I heard that you were living with a friend.
Right.
And that
right.
didn't work out, correct?
Nah, it was bad news. It was really bad. You know, the guy, he liked to drink a lot.
Oh.
And, you know, I don't drink that much, or I'm not as much as that guy. But it's like, it was just got kind of, you know, pretty bad, so I decided the best thing to do was just to get out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just a follow-up question on that.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any family that?
Yeah, I have a sister, her and her husband, and they have children. You know, they live in the area, and they help me out. They've been really good. You know, I've been over for dinner, and you know, she's given me some, you know, a little bit of money every now and then. You know, the food to take with me and stuff like that. You know, and I don't, you know, I don't want to move in with them because, you know, they have a family. She has the kids, and they're great kids, and you know, they're really nice. But they're kind of struggling. You know, times are hard for them too, and I don't want to be a burden to them. You know, they've been really cool, and you know, I really like them, and I don't want to be a pain. You know, I don't want to ruin that relationship with this situation. So, you know, I prefer just to get my own place.
Okay.
And you know, not have to be, you know, a burden to them.
That's an understandable concern of yours. I think the next question that I would have for you is, have you initiated any steps in looking for a job?
Yeah, you know, I get the unemployment, so through EDD, you know, I look for a job. You know, it's all different now. You know, everything's done on the computer. Everything's done through email. You know, it's not like, you know, well, I guess the old days, whenever you would fill in a paper application and then you would call somebody up and say, hey, you know, get my application. Now it's all done through online, you know, and I don't know where the application goes. It goes, you know, I don't know, to the cloud, whatever that is. And so it's like, you know, it's all different. And so I'm like having to learn all this stuff, you know, with the computer and stuff to try to, you know, find out. I've been putting in applications and I haven't heard anything back. I'm, you know, checking email and stuff like that, but I haven't heard anything back. So, you know, I've been trying to get another job, that's for sure.
Well, that's a good step. That's always good. So, from my understanding of what you were just saying, you've been applying through the internet. So how would you rate yourself on the scale of 1 to 10 on your comfort on using computers, the websites?
Wow. I would say about a 5.
A 5.
You know, right before I was laid off from the B, you know, we had to start using Google Maps, and you know, got a smartphone and learned how to do that. But you know, that took me a minute. The supervisor helped me with that, and but you know, I definitely need to be, you know, I need to be caught up. Computers are not my strong point, so I definitely, you know, need some help in doing all that. That's for sure.
Well, don't you worry. Well, there's always new updates, so we're all always constantly learning.
Well, a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn, that's for sure.
Definitely. So one of the questions I normally like to ask in these situations is, what do you think is one of your best skill sets that you have acquired in this job that you previously had?
That I would say, like the organizing part, because, basically we would get like the places that we would need to deliver to, delivering the bee.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would get a certain number of newspapers. So my supervisor, we start early in the morning, 3 in the morning. And I would just come in, my supervisor said, here's the papers, here's the place you need to deliver to, and they would let me work it out, how I wanted to do it and stuff like that. And they want to do it they want you to do it as quick as possible so you can, come back and get more and deliver more. So I was pretty good at that actually. I would he would basically just give me the list and said there's the papers, and I would work it out, figure out where I needed to go, and boom, 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 take care of it, come back, if there was any problems, I would get my supervisor on the horn and we would talk about it and said, okay, work it out and then, take care of it. So I would say the whole organizing part, I was pretty good at.
Well, that's always a wonderful skill to have for any job.
Yeah, it was good.
And how would you say you left your relationship at work?
It was cool. I got along really well with my supervisor. He said I use him as a reference, because he really liked the way that I did stuff. So, everything was fine. Everything was fine. It was just, layoffs. That's the way, it wasn't his fault. He kind of felt bad about the whole situation, but yeah, I don't blame him, just the way things are.
Yeah, definitely. So I kind of want to go back and touch on the fact that you shared that you were living in your car.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long did you say that was?
It's been a couple months now. Yeah. It's been a couple months, and like it says, whenever the weather wasn't so cold, it was okay. It's not like I want to live in my car, but better than sleeping outside.
Mm-hmm.
But now that it's getting cold, I figure I need to get inside. I don't want to be out in a situation where I'm, freezing out and sleeping in a car.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
And have you looked into maybe going to a shelter? Has that been an option for you?
Not really. I hear things about the shelters.
Mm-hmm.
They're dangerous. People rip you off. It's like, man, I'm scared. I'm really scared about, finding out about a shelter or going to a shelter. I see the people hanging out on the streets. And, I go by Richards Boulevard, and that's, and I see all that. And, some of the places I delivered the newspapers to were out there, and, that's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those people look kind of scary. So I guess to answer your question, no, I haven't really looked into getting into a shelter.
Okay. So this fear that you have, do you think it would prevent you from ever going to a shelter?
I'm gonna have to bite the bullet at some point, because I know it gets cold out. It's getting cold. I started work at 3 in the morning. I would go outside and start my car, and it was cold.
Yeah.
So I know it's gonna get cold.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say no. At some point, I'm gonna have to really, I'm gonna have to buckle up and just, try to get into a shelter. And try to, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, just because definitely with the situation that you're expressing
Mm-hmm.
and letting me know about, the temperature, it has dropped, and
Yeah.
the quality of our air right now isn't exactly the healthiest for you as well.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that, despite you having these feelings, that we also keep our options open to what you would also like to, what you want to do.
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense. You had said that you had some water. Can I get a water?
Yeah, would you also like a snack?